Hi, welcome back to Red Dirt Rods. Now today we're working on our 69 Roadrunner project and we're about to install the new fuel system that we picked up from Aeromotive. Now this is the Phantom system that installs inside the existing gas tank, and it uses a Aeromotive Stealth 340 fuel pump. Now this is capable of supplying fuel to a 750 horsepower engine. Considering our 383 has a Pro Charger on it and is making about 650 horse, we should be good to go. Now the kit comes with everything you need to install this in your existing gas tank, including foam baffling. So we're going to get started and show you how to do it for your project. Most gas tanks have corrugations in them. If you can find a flat spot like this, it's the best place to mount it. However, on our Roadrunner, we need to mount the pump assembly as close to the front as possible because that's where the deepest portion of the tank is, as well as clearance for all of the underbody stuff that we're dealing with. So on your corrugations, you want to use a measuring tape or something like that to check the depth, and it needs to be less than 1/4 of an inch. We're right at 1/4, so we're good to go. Anything more than 1/4 of an inch, you'll have to use some filler. All right, so first thing we need to do is locate where the fuel level sender arm is at. If it's on this side or that side or straight back, you want to stay away from that. You don't want your pump anywhere near it. So we're going to pop the fuel sender section out of this. We're just going to use a hammer and a screwdriver. Alright. On this, looks like it goes straight back. We're going to put ours here on the passenger side. This is the inner ring that installs on the inside of the fuel tank. We're going to drill holes, and these studs are going to come through the top of the tank. But we want to make sure that we position it to where none of the studs are in the angles of the corrugations. You want them in the flat part of the tank. So we can set it right here and we would be good. If we rolled it like that, these two studs and these studs would be going through the corrugation, and that's not going to work. We're going to use a 3 1/4 inch hole saw to cut through the tank. Now drilling through corrugations with a hole saw can be tricky because your hole saw is going to want to bite and twist your arm. So make sure you use your drill on slow speed and really hold on to it tight. Alright, now we've got our hole drilled. We're going to take, this is the drill ring, this is the jig that comes with the kit, and its whole purpose is to line up the holes so everything matches. And it's got a little recess here to lock it into that hole. So we're just going to drop this in, rotate it so that our holes line up. The kit comes with a number 2 drill bit. And you want to pick 2 holes 180 degrees apart from each other as your starters. So we're just going to go here. Okay. Drop that one in. We're also going to take a couple of the supplied nuts. Just put those on the back side. Now these are nylocks, so you're going to have to use a wrench. Okay, now that we've thoroughly worked out our forearms, we can continue to drill the rest of this. We take a measuring tape, we measure straight to the bottom, and we are at 7 5/8. So we're going to take that measurement, translate it to the foam baffle. Now, the key here is to actually measure an inch extra. Okay, you want a little bit of compression in this. So we're actually going to measure this out to 8 5/8. Now you can cut this with a hacksaw or a bread knife. And we've got our hacksaw right here. So just carefully cut straight down if this will work. Now we're going to take our ring. Now this is it's a C shape. It's got a cutout right here so that you can drop it inside the tank and then swing it around. Goes in. Pulls up just like that. We're going to throw a couple of these nuts on here just to keep it from going anywhere. Then we take the baffle and you just kind of squish it up like that. Start pushing it through the hole. Then you want to spread the foam out so that it goes around the outside of the installation ring. Just like that. We're going to measure the bottom of this flange 7 5/8 of an inch down here. This is the lowest portion of the tank. So you're going to take the sock that mounts on the filter. I'm sorry. You're going to take the sock that mounts onto the pump. You're just going to go ahead and push that on. The bottom of this sock you want at the bottom of the tank. If this is raised up off the tank floor 1/2 inch, you're going to run out of fuel. You're going to starve the pump when you get into low fuel situations or heavy cornering or acceleration. So you want to make sure that this is really, you want this touching the bottom of the tank. So that's our lowest part. So we're going to set this right here on that line so that we know we're going to be at the bottom. And we're going to take a Sharpie and we're going to mark this hose. This is the inlet hose, or I should say the outlet hose of for the system. And we're going to mark it right about there. And that's where we're going to cut it so we can mount this and slide it on. Now we're not going to mount the hose clamp just yet. We want to be able to remove this. Okay, double check it. That looks pretty good. Now then, we can go ahead and mark this metal bracket. We're just going to cut this right here. Okay, give it a little bit of clearance for the bottom of the floor of the pan. So to do that, pull this off. This is an isolation sleeve. Just isolate some of the vibrations. Go ahead and slide that onto the pump. Now this pump is capable of operating in a returnless or a return style system. We're using a return style, so we don't have to do anything. But if you want to use this in a returnless system, you have to modify the cap here and make sure this is converted over to a PWM or pulse width modulation system, and that would allow this pump to survive in a returnless style. Now's a good time to go ahead and plug it in. And we're going to keep the hose clamps in these recesses. Do the next one. Okay, now that's not going nowhere. We're going to take this foam gasket. This is what's going to take up the space and seal this around the corrugations. With the gasket in place, we drop the pump in and make sure that we rotate it so that it lines up the way we want it for the outlets. Now, this gasket will compress to seal up to 1/4 inch corrugated. It's pretty tight, so it's going to take some pressure to push this down. We want to start 2 nuts. We're going to use this one and this one, 180 degrees apart, get it pulled down. Then we'll do the rest of them with the washers. Get this finished. And having an extra set of hands is handy. Then we put a sealing washer on each remaining stud. Followed by a lock nut. And we're just going to go around in a star pattern. With all the studs tightened, we can take our factory plastic, or place it back over here, and then we're going to trim it away around this pump. If your tank sits really close to the floor like ours does, you can take a little bit of this foam and create some blocks to help keep your tank up off the floor so it doesn't smash this. That'll also keep it from rattling if it does contact the floor. So what we're going to go ahead and do, I think I'm going to go ahead and trim some more of this off now that I already glued it back down. Place this strip right here. I'll place another strip right here. And go ahead and reinstall the factory unit. Now the Phantom system uses AN style fittings. So what we have here are some cut-off AN flares from Aeromotive. Now it has -6 size threads on both sides, but as you'll notice the taper's been cut off on this side and it has an O-ring. That's the side that we install towards the pump housing. And we're just going to put one on each, the return and the outlet and the vent. Then we're going to use some of these caps. I want to find one about the right size for these small vent fittings over here. Well, these little vacuum caps work real good for this kind of thing. Now these two are just vents, so I'm not going to worry about clamping those, but this one is submerged in fuel, so I'm going to go ahead and clamp this cap off. And that should keep us from having any issues there. Alright, now we just need to take this over to the car. I've got our hoses made. I'm going to route them up through the chassis. We're going to drop the tank. And that's all there is to installing a Phantom Stealth fuel system. Now, like I said, this will support up to 750 horsepower, so we should be good to go. And if we go beyond that, we would want to step up our internal fuel pump to a bigger pump, but the Phantom fuel system is capable of supporting much more with a larger pump. Thanks for watching Red Dirt Rods. We'll catch you next time.